Good day to you. I'm Nick French of GHS Chemical Training and Consulting based here in Singapore. We provide training programs in the globally harmonized system for labeling and safety data sheets of hazardous substances and mixtures. On the topic of substances and mixtures, let's look at a particularly vexing matter of how their respective definitions in the GHS Purple Book impact the decision-making process of their allocation as substance or mixture. You see, originally, when the GHS guidelines emerged, the competent authorities in many countries set target implementation dates for substances and mixtures, where substances, being simpler to classify, were to be implemented first, followed later by mixtures, perhaps 1 or 2 years later. Thus, companies could learn the ropes via the easiest substance route, and then later be better positioned to take on the much more challenging task of mixture classification. When I say much more, I mean much more, as depending on what kind of mixture you have, the process can become very lengthy and complicated. As those countries with a proactive approach to implementing GHS initiated their programs, they discovered that classification was no easy matter, and as a result, deadlines were put back to allow industry more time to prepare for what was coming. Let's take the example of Singapore. Initially, substances were to be formally implemented during 2010, with mixtures to follow 2 years later. These deadlines have now been put back to 2012 and mid-2015 respectively. Note how much further mixtures have now been delayed. The difference has now ballooned to 3 years. This deadline for mixtures in Singapore coincides with that of the EU, which is no doubt experiencing similar challenges. Thus, industries now have the task of identifying substances which require immediate action and mixtures that can be deferred. Unfortunately, this is not as simple as it might seem, especially if you turn to the definitions given in the GHS Purple Book. Let's take a look at them here. A substance means chemical elements and their compounds in the natural state or obtained by any production process, including any additive necessary to preserve the stability of the product and any impurities deriving from the process used, but excluding any solvent which may be separated without affecting the stability of the substance or changing its composition. Mixtures mean a mixture or a solution composed of 2 or more substances in which they do not react. As you can see, a mixture is fairly easy to identify, or so you might think. But let's look at the substance definition again, especially the part highlighted in yellow. It says, but excluding any solvent which may be separated without affecting the stability of the substance or changing its composition. Now, what does this really mean? My understanding is that it pertains to a solution of the substance when applied to the detailed classification process of identifying substance hazards and categories. So, for instance, hazardous sodium hydroxide, when dissolved in water, might still retain its identity as a substance. However, this wording also causes confusion if used to determine if such a solution is still considered a substance. Some competent authorities might maintain that simple solutions still fall into the substance category, which clearly complicates matters. I maintain that originally, when the definition of substance was derived, the need to stagger deadlines for substances and mixtures had not arisen. But when certain users refer to the substance definition and attempt to apply it as it stands, they erroneously may think certain solutions might be substances. This is because the current wording of the substance definition in certain areas is somewhat vague. Clearly, at this stage, users would prefer to defer mixtures for as long as possible while concentrating on just single substances and not solutions, which might legitimately fall into the mixture category. It is therefore important to obtain clarification from your competent authority on this matter, as they are the ones responsible for overseeing GHS implementation in your country. If you have any opinions on this matter, I welcome your feedback and comments. All you have to do is email me at nick@ghschem.sg. Cheerio for now, and I wish you all the best with your GHS implementation.